Dun, dun. Do, 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 do. All right. Twitch. Yes. YouTube, yay. YouTube, yay. All right. I'm mostly set up. Kinda, sorta, maybe? Yeah. All right. SCL first. Hi. How are you? I meant to ask you, did you take place in the server test yesterday? I had trouble getting logged in, so I was unable to, Luna Maria. I heard it went well, though, compared to how it's been. I didn't know if you got the chance to try, you know, the server meshing test. Yep, it got fixed. They shut down though for today and tomorrow. Yep. Which is a bummer, Jim, because I actually wanted to try. I heard Burks was in it. You're gonna lose some ships. What are you talking about, Jim? Yeah, TPTU. TPTU. Yep. All right, we're going to start with SCL. And, yep, I heard so too, just a few hours ago. Looks like it, guys. So things are rocketing along really quick. Well, for the most part. Nah. You're all right. I think it's supposed to drop tonight, though. So we're going to go with window capture. Okay. Yep, here we go. Here we go. I agree, Luna.
Yep.
What happened to Jared's face? Why? What is wrong with Jared's face? Where's his beard and his hair? What happened? Who is this? Oh, wow.
Take it in.
He looks about
Hi, everybody. It's
20 years younger.
Cargo and Hangers. I'm your host. Almost forgot the word host. Jared Huckabee. If you've never seen the Star Citizen Live before, it's where we take about an hour at the end of our week, invite one of our developers.
He must have either lost a bet or won a bet. I get to be better looking than some people.
Cargo and Hangers, and any conversation related to cargo and hangers.
That's what I was. Oh, I was making a joke, Luna. I knew he was getting scammed.
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Now, I thought we had agreed to both shave our beards for this.
We both agreed that you would shave your beard.
Is that what we agreed to?
Yeah, that's what I remember.
I should read my messages more closely. No, as I can already see in the chat, no, I did not lose a bet or anything like this. The answer is I'm getting.
He lost a fight.
Okay.
Lost a fight with a razor.
Okay.
My better wishes and against my protestations on this very show for years and years and years.
Good question, Jim.
For inclusion.
Very good question.
One of the games next week. So that's what this is for. I've seen people wondering if it was for.
They also talk about cargo decks briefly.
It's just because they're like, hey, we're going to put you in the game. We're probably going to make you a janitor.
It's going to be spicy meatball today.
I'll be a janitor on the Bengals. That's what this is for. So, sorry, women and children, for the fright. This is what I actually look like. All right. So getting on with the show, this is a Q&A show where we collect questions from you, the Star Citizen viewer, and pose them directly to Chad. We put up a thread up on Spectrum, which is our bespoke communication platform available on robertspacindustries.com. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. It's your chance to submit questions and vote on which ones you want to see answered most. We selected the questions that were appropriate for Chad. Remember that no Star Citizen developer works on every single aspect of the game. So while there were many questions that I know folks were fervently wanting answered, we do have to find questions that are
applicable to the chat.
That said, we did pick 4 or 5 that were still outside his mandate and went to Ian Leyland and Rick Porter to get some answers to those. So we did try to include some of those questions that we normally skip over for that. So we're trying to best of both worlds here. So Chad, are you ready?
We are ready.
No, but let's go.
All right. So the first question is a real easy one. Just a softball over the home plate. In the Hangers and Cargo SCL 4 months ago, it was said that it just missed the release and that you were really close. What the hell happened?
Time is relative. No. So a few things on that. First is, when I said that, first off, I do regret using that exact terminology. But yeah, to be more serious, when I said that, that doesn't mean we're really close to going live, right? So I think that's one thing to consider is that there's still the whole Avocado PTU live flow that we have to go through, and there's going to be a lead time to getting that out to players, like no matter what. So it wasn't like we were so close to just like pushing the button and being live. I probably could have been clear on that point. But on top of all that, there's a lot of things that happen even still, like, in between, like what we would normally go, to live and doing further development. And in particular, some things that like ended up being especially problematic, like going long, was things in particular like ATC and transit. ATC and transit were 2 really critical parts of the whole hangar loop, of course, and the ship loading changes that we did with the ship loading platform. And unfortunately, like if you could ask me to pick 2 systems to not touch at all, it would be ATC and transit, because there are 2 older systems in the game.
Yep.
They're very complicated, and they have lots of bugs historically. They're problem children for us as systems. So we knew
I hear that.
that it was going to be a risk making changes to those systems. And what turned out to be, I think, more of a problem than we anticipated is that like once we started getting like wider testing, those systems really buckled underneath load in a way that we weren't really seeing internally. So we would, if anybody was on the PTU, for example, whenever we first started going out, uh, it would be rocky. We put out some fixes, bring in more players, and then the thing would fall over. And as a developer, to make it more frustrating, fall over in a way where not only could we
Hold
not
on,
reproduce
chat.
it, but our own QA oftentimes couldn't easily reproduce it, or if they could, there wasn't like a coherent understanding about like what the fundamental cause was. So for those kinds of issues, we had to get creative as far as like understanding what was happening and like what to do to address it, because again, like we couldn't really consistently or fully understand it. So we put in a lot of diagnostics, a lot of telemetry, try things, and then eventually work towards a conclusion on what the actual fundamental problems were. On top of that, like I think there was kind of a consideration with those systems about, right, we're going to go in here, we're going to make some big changes. We know we
Sorry, I
have
was
to in order to
answering
make all of
somebody,
this older
chat.
stuff work. But these are kind of older systems. Do we rewrite them? Do we, largely refactor them, or do we try to keep them largely intact, but with the smaller changes that we need, hopefully smaller changes that we need to get us out? We wanted to hit the release date sooner. So we made the call that we were not going to largely refactor or rewrite them for this release. In retrospect, I'm not sure, like if I could do it again, I would be interested to know, would it be longer actually if we just decided to just rewrite them or refactor them first? The good news is that we already are planning on doing just that. And in fact, transit is already in progress with the new version, which needed to happen anyways for server matching and all this stuff. So that's good. And then ATC as well.
I
We already
agree with
have,
that, Jim.
plans on how to
Completely.
rework it and to make it just fundamentally some of the problems at play here, because ATC as a system is so like centralized, and it keeps a lot of state internally in a very centralized place. But these systems are extremely complicated about how they deal with persistence and logging and streaming, and in particular tracking ship allocations in the hangars. So we would get bugs, for example, with like ships doubling up in hangars, etc. Like those things were really challenging the system.
I'm glad they're
as
doing
well as
that
like the
too.
doors not opening. So like a lot of that stuff, I think we have a lot better idea about what to do about it as a system in the future. But this release, we made the call to try to, take the system that we had, just kind of like, get it working with the new direction, and then hopefully give us some more time.
So did I.
Time
I had
pressure
doubling for a
to
bit
make the
too.
right adjustments, like more fundamentally. It's a risk we took. It didn't turn out, I think, as we hoped, but sometimes that's how it goes. But there was a lot more things than that. Another thing was the mission system. It's a new mission system with a new delivery hookup for the delivery missions. First outing, right? There's a lot of new shaky things that we found with, in particular, the hookup from the freight elevators to the missions. There's just like a lot of loose ends, a lot of things, threads would get lost. We have this whole warehouse system that has to interact with the mission system. And there's just, again, a lot of these like rare, low repro issues that in these very fundamental places, actually, this is another point for ATC and transit. Like when you have a moderate, inconsistent bug in a system that's not as critical, it doesn't seem as bad. Not to say that, bugs aren't bad. Of course, we want the game to be stable. But whenever you have something that's like, let's say it happens 1% of the time or 0.1% of the time. Unfortunately, if that isn't a part of the game flow,
A critical system.
critical,
yeah,
it's awful. It's unplayable, right? So we have to like take even more care with those systems to get them into a better place, so the game is more playable, because those bugs have an outsized effect. But beyond that, there was also, in particular, a lot of issues that we had with networking and serialization and the replication layer changes that were coming in preparation for server meshing. And I can just speak from my own personal experience debugging some of these things. There were some very complicated, hard to understand bugs that we had to work back to eventually being actually corruption in serialized data that was coming from some bugs in the replication layer, which we could not reproduce that again internally. And that was a wild one to figure out. It was very, very confusing, as you can imagine, because it's rare and it's random, and like the data you get doesn't make sense. And you try to make sense of like how these things come together. But we got there. There were design and iteration changes. Some of them, we were pretty public about, like the item bank, but also tweaks to the freight elevator kiosk, changes to how the economy tuning works, for example, with auto loading times and stuff. So like, and to be fair, we were wanting the patch to be a complete package as much as we could. So given that we were already going late, we didn't entirely shy away from taking some of the time to like also like clean things up on the design side while we're also grappling with some of these harder engineering problems. And then like the final thing I'll say on it is we didn't want the whole schedule to shift. So we still have a lot of other goals. One of them obviously was the Atlas, but there's, things coming up, 4.0. We're obviously still trying to get, Squadron finished and out the door. And we didn't want to just take everything and just like take everyone, focus entirely on this release, get this release out the door, and have our whole schedule change for the whole company. So we had to like, keep, there was a lot of people who needed to move on to 4.0 goals or whatever. And so it meant that we needed to keep like the core people that were working on the mainline features on the release, but we didn't have the full force of the company to just close that one specific patch out. We could have, but like I said, it would have, caused problems for our other goals otherwise. So you kind of in total, there's a lot of things that I feel like I've learned from, and I hope in the future it gives us a better like framework for how to deal with something this complex. And then, one last thing I'll say is I think there was also just a fundamental problem with the whole conceit of having this many fundamental things in one patch,
right?
Where I think if I would do it again, I would slice it differently and try to do the persistent and instance hangers in their own patch first, and then layer on top all this other stuff. We wanted them to come together as an experience, and I understand, that might have been actually kind of a weird thing for the players to go through, to have like this one particular aspect of that feature set come in without the things that make sense. But from a development perspective, it would have allowed us to harden on the aspects of it that were in particular thorny and right, more of an engineering challenge, and then get that hardened and stable so that we give that to the players, and then layer on top of that all this other stuff around it. But doing it all together, I think, really challenged us when some of the, like I said, some of the risks didn't break in our favor.
Yeah, you bring up several good points. And for those of you in the chat are like, wow, if this was an easy question, I hate to see a hard one. I was being facetious. This was the hard one. There, lots of times when we talk about a tier 0 feature or whatever, it's we do that thing that Chad was talking about. You can basically, for anything, you can basically do one of two courses.
Yeah.
One, you can split them up into several smaller things, or two, you can try to push out a suite of stuff. And we attempted to do this suite of stuff for all of this. It was originally attached to an even bigger suite of stuff and everything that was 323. When we've done the separation in the past, it's a little more stable and certain stuff, certainly, but that's when you tend to see things like, well, I don't understand why this is like this, and I don't understand like this and like this, and we just have to go, well, that's because we didn't give you the second part and the third part and the fourth part, and when you get the second part and the third part and fourth part, that first part will make more sense. And we try to explain that, but when you play the game and you see 1/4 of an experience, you're right when you say this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, because it's 1/4 of this overall thing. And when you see things like the persistent hangers now, and where we're going with item placement and the item banks and all this stuff like that, this is still just sections of this thing that we'll continue to build out later and later. And you could expect to hear more about that at a big event that's coming up in a few weeks. How many weeks? Don't tell me. But yeah, so we tried to do this nice package thing, and yeah, you never know when you start these things. You never know whether the package approach is going to be the right one, or the slicing it up into a bunch of different sections is going to be the right one. In hindsight's always 2020. But
Hindsight's always
it
2020.
was another learning experience, and I really
I
appreciate.
agree,
and
Jim. I do
hammer home the
agree.
part, you and your team, basically there on an island by yourself, and then it's yeah, you had help from here and there, but for the most part, the full resources of the company were not there to help you. They all had to stay on other things. They all just to keep the progress on 4.0 going, and the stuff that's beyond going. So it's I appreciate the work you put in, and I think if I can speak for the community, they all appreciate that you guys. We started talking about this. We first talked about this in ISE in October of last year. That's how long.
Yes. And I've been thinking about it a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
So.
Your
Oh
small
my
team
gosh.
out there in LA and Montreal has been on this for more than a year and stuff like this. And I hope we all appreciate the folks watching at home and myself that that your dedication of staying with this and sticking with this and getting it resolved, or getting as resolved as you can before the 3.24 release and subsequent hot fixes after that. All right. What happened with the item drawer change?
Uh-oh.
Two
Yeah.
big ones out of the way, man.
Yeah.
It'll be easier after this. What
I
happened
mean,
with the item drawer? What's
to
that?
me, it's this one. It's not like a challenging question. It's gone on a bit of an arc, and I don't think that arc is completely finished. What's funny about that arc is we've kind of ended up where we started, actually, because like in the original proposal for the item bank, it works like it does now, actually, which is like it's the personal inventory UI, and really like the item bank is more of like an interaction point to trigger that UI.
Item
And
drawer
the
was
reason
buggy, I'll
to
admit.
understand why that makes sense is because to think about like what you're doing at the item bank. What you're doing really is we're trying to make it easier to get things that make sense from like a FPS player perspective, right? So if you want to get meta pins, you want to get armor, a weapon, these kinds of smaller items, which are often equipment, we want to make that intuitive and easy and quick, frictionless. The personal inventory UI makes sense for that because it has the paper doll view where you can pull things over and like kind of very more tangibly interact with the player and more quickly equip and unequip, swap things out, etc. However, the personal inventory UI, I think everyone that's played the game knows it's not perfect, and there's things that we have long wanted to do about it. And in fact, for this release, it was one of the things that we hoped that we could get to, but we didn't have the time
search
to.
and inventory.
We're still going to come back to making improvements to that UI. So for that reason, we had some internal discussion on iterating on it and looking at it. And after we had gotten the freight elevator kiosk UI to a pretty good place, I think people saw before that we originally had this more 3D based UI on the left-hand side of the freight elevator kiosk, which we may come back to at some point with some rethinking. But when we went to the more like kind of straightforward like grid view, and then added certain things like search and better filtering, that experience started to develop in a way that had some functionality advantages over the personal inventory UI. So we had some discussions internally and decided that we would try moving it over to use just the freight elevator kiosk UI rather than the personal inventory UI. And there was trade-offs, of course. So like some of the like faster, tangible, easier kind of changes are gone, but you have other things like search and filtering that are better. And after giving it to y'all and collecting a lot of feedback and internally, we had to make a call. It was one of these things where there was very strong voices actually on like kind of both ends of it. So I think no matter what, some people, it actually, I just went to a Bar Citizen in Seattle. It was funny. Like I talked to people and it was like someone would say, man, I'm so happy you made that change. And somebody else would be like, why don't you bring back the freight elevator kiosk UI and the item bank? But I think the answer is going to be, we're going to probably keep it like it is now, but bring over some of the things from the freight elevator kiosk UI, like the search functionality, to make that a better experience itself. So both of them are, they are better user interfaces and UXs in general.
And yes, folks who are in the chat watching and who've done the math, it is 8 o'clock in the morning for Cargo Chat.
Yes.
He woke up extra early on a Friday morning in order to do this, so be kind. You can talk about how messed up my face is all you want. But let Chad wake up for a little bit. He's doing great. All right, so we got a couple questions here about the hangar itself. So these are the ones that we ended up going to Ian and Rick.
8
These
is
are,
possibly
the design of
early.
the physical
I'm not a
hangar, the layout and
Mondays
stuff is not
person. I
particularly
wouldn't
questions,
know.
that would work for Chad, as a
I'm not a
programmer,
morning
engineer
person,
and stuff. But
Jim.
these were important.
It
They
used
were
to
highly
be,
voted up.
but
We had access to Rick Porter.
that was
and Ian,
before
so we got the
30?
answers for them. So the first question here is: are we going to have more room to park ships and vehicles on the sides of our hangars? The pads are big enough, but the pavement is tiny compared to the rest. There was that question. There was, are there any plans to add side rooms to players' persistent hangars?
There we go.
Pads, firing range, repair and modification facilities, or even just a large room with a cargo grid where players can customize as they see fit. And can you get rid of the garage in our hangars so we can just set up our furniture better? Too many random cables and boxes lying around. Can you clean up all that garbage that's along the sides? I'm merging all these together because the answer to all of these are sort of the same thing. These are the very first. Okay, well, I need to rephrase that. From a player perspective, which is you. These are probably we were trying to figure out before the show whether these are the 4th version or the 5th versions of hangars that you've seen. There were 2 versions made by our partners at Behavior way back in the early days, and then we attempted a first version, which is what you had before, and then there's this. So I think this is the 2nd version that CIG has made. This is the 4th version of hangars and stuff that you guys have seen. And not all of the features, not all of the intention that we wanted to get in there is in there. I'm going to read these notes from directly from Ian and Rick here, so these are just their words. We plan to add garage modules. So we don't intend to expand the pavement, but there should be more room for vehicles when you could basically add on modules and expand the hangars to the left and right and to the front and back and there's different sections. The plan is for personal hangars to be able to be customized and expanded in the future with the addition of these hangar modules. The exact list of modules are still being defined at this point, which so I'm not going to be able to give you
Modularity,
a
I
list
love
of
it.
whether it's a firing range or something like that. But you will be able to modify your hangars to certain extents and expand them out in other directions and stuff, so that you can bring vehicles
That's a
out
good
and kind of store them
question,
off to the
Jim.
side. You don't have to use the ship elevator for bringing all your ground vehicles and stuff, or just your smaller fighters and stuff off to the side. And as far as cleaning up the garbage around the end, we've already done multiple passes for the base hangar OCs, so we're listening to the community and moving in the right direction. That's Ian speaking there. We want to split the data for instance hangars and personal hangars separately, so that we can completely remove everything in the personal hangars while still leaving some form of dressing and world building in the instance hangars. So what this means is that, as we've talked about before, you have your home location, and then you have the instance
That's
hangars
an
that you'll get at
interesting
every
thought,
other location
Jim.
when you go there. For those, right now, those are using the same OC. So when you remove the dressing from one, you remove the dressing from all of them. We want to split those into 2 different object containers so that the instance hangars that you get at every other space station or whatever, those can stay dressed and look good and everything. But your personal hangars, the ones that get assigned to you at your home location when you log in, those will be completely empty and you'll be able to decorate those to your heart's content. That is our intention there. No timeline on when that's going to come.
I definitely say after
And then,
4.0.
as far as the, that was it. Oh, and then, I'm sorry, one more question on that. You're just going to listen to me for a little bit, because these are answers from Ian and Rick, so I'm going to give Chad a little break since Chad did really good in those first 2 questions. The freight elevators are positioned a bit awkwardly in the hangars for loading and unloading in relation to the ship pad where you land. A lot of the hangar ramps are in the back, and the freight elevator is off to the side. Has the team considered moving the elevator to accommodate these? This goes back to the same hangar modules. So of the hangar modules will also be where you place the freight elevator and stuff. So basically when the customization comes in, we anticipate you being able to move the freight elevator to wherever you need it for your particular ship. And then the last one in this melange of questions here that were not necessarily for Chad, but were really important that we wanted to get answers to. Are there plans for the station cargo decks to play a role
Station
cargo
cargo decks
gameplay? Folks might remember we added cargo decks to space stations 2 years ago, 3 years ago. No, it's a while. These need a significant rework. They were built with an intention and a design philosophy that existed back then. We've since evolved our thinking on how these things should work, so they will need to basically a rework to incorporate them into the current version of cargo gameplay that Chad and his team have created, have gone out in 3 of 24, and will continue to iterate in subsequent patches. So yes, there are plans. We can't tell you what they are just yet because they're still at a point where they're too likely to change between now and the time where they're implemented.
Yeah.
So when we get closer to a better understanding of how those are going to be implemented, we will share that information with you. And that's me speaking for Ian and Rick Porter, the portion of our SCL. Chad, did you enjoy your break?
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay. Back to Chad. The Atlas, which is the new hotness that's been revealed over the last week in PTU, has a magnificent tractor beam that is making every other tractor beam look like turd sandwich from a can. Will you implement a mode switch for tractor beams to give functionality like the Atlas has to the multi-tool or dedicated tractor beams so that there's more parity between the three? Or is this something that's exclusively to the Atlas?
For the moment, it's exclusive to the Atlas. There is some discussion internally about like maybe doing that. Nothing confirmed. I feel like that there's some benefit to having it, having there be some diversity in the cinematic universe of tractor beaming as far as like functionality, to differentiate the advantages and disadvantages of certain things. For the moment, we're leaving it as is, but that could change.
I think as we've illustrated, that can change with feedback, and as we get more experience and we do more analytics, we see how people are using it. There will always be some distinction, though. You want the handheld for boxes this size, and the larger weapons for the medium boxes, and the Atlas for the larger box. Atlas and the ship tractor beams for the larger boxes and stuff. But yeah, when he says no plans right now, that's what that means. No plans right now. But if you followed Star Citizen
next week, right?
If you followed Star Citizen for any period of time,
look at the item bank, right? Like we take feedback seriously, so we'll figure out what makes sense for the game, but like my understanding as far as like what we're doing right now with all this is it's just going to be the way that it is.
Yeah. So that's Cargo Chad and me saying, make your points, share your point of view, make your solid, considered arguments, not just the pitchfork stuff. Our history is replete with dozens and dozens of examples where we've heard what you said and adjusted these things. So if you feel strongly about it, continue to feel strongly about it, continue to share that, and we'll see what the plan is later. Will we be, so in the Sitcon goodie pack, by the way, there's a Sitcon goodie pack. I think it might be available now. I don't know. I'm not in that part of marketing, so I don't know. But I think in the Sitcon goodie pack, there were beds. We sold beds?
Yeah.
In the goodie pack?
Yep.
This question is asking if we'll be able to log in or out of our hangars moving forward.
Oh, good question.
With these beds that are in the Sitcon pack.
When you get it, I don't think so, but I'll say this. We plan on, and as I've said before about bed logging, we're definitely going to work more on bed logging, and we're going to work more on logging in and out. And one of the things in particular that we're going to work on is logging in and out of hangars specifically. We want to support that. That's something that we've already been working on to some extent on the technical side, but there's still more work to go there. I don't want to say that when you get this particular thing, a certain feature is going to be supported in the next release, though. So, like, as far as that goes, like, I don't plan on that being a supported thing by then. But logging in and out of hangars and bed logging is going to be developed further, is what I'll say.
You said a lot of words. I want to get this very concise. You're telling us that at some point, I'm not saying the next release, but at some point you will be able to log in and out from your hangars.
Yes, 100%. That's definitely a thing that we're going to support.
Because my least favorite thing in the world is having to wake up in the hab and go to the hangar. So that would be lovely. Thank you, Chad. That's not my least favorite thing in the world. David's my least favorite thing in the world. He just did a Yelp. It was like a 1950s like a scream queen. What work is being done to stop our hangar deco from bouncing around so that we can make our hangars the way they are shown in ISC? We actually answered this last week with Benoit. It's here because I want to refer people back to Benoit. Basically, it is not a feature issue. It is a matter of physics. Physics is one of the largest.
What happened on the
TPTU server? So that is basically
was it bed logging, Jim?
The physics of all those items placed on other items. As server performance improves, as server meshing provides us the benefits to server performance that we all hope.
What am I missing?
That problem will become less and less severe as it is, and then we'll be able to go in and find the individual edge cases that cause it.
Everyone was spawning in the same beds.
It's one of those things. It's literally one of those things where it works on my computer, and then you put it up on a server with 100 people, and it starts flopping around, which is why it looks one way on
definitely
IRC,
troublesome,
and it looks another way in live. We show the intention of the feature and how it's supposed to work, and it is basically a performance-related error that's causing it in the servers right now. So as we continue to optimize, we continue to improve performance, that will resolve most of those issues, and then we can go in and do the edge cases. In the 324 PTU, you were originally able to add 1 SCU cargo mission boxes into larger 8 SCU boxes for transport. That was really nice, by the way. This has since been removed since launch. I hate you, Chad. Any plans to bring this back?
I hate you, Chad.
That's a good question. It's more that there were some issues on the delivery side. We needed more sophisticated logic to handle the freight elevator delivering nested contents for delivery. So we rolled that back because we were having some issues having that work like consistently.
A lot of good answers today, chat.
We talked about with the mission team, and I think at some point we'll probably bring it back. But for the moment, it's more of just, it's one of the things we had to like give up on in order to get the release out the door.
Okay. Currently in Live 324, when we call our ships while we are in a party member's hangar, our ships spawn in our personal hangar instead of the party member's hangar. Will that change in the future?
For sure. This is another one of those things where we had to, make some calls as far as like what we were going to try to deliver on this release. And if people saw like the very early, actually, I'm not sure this part of it got to Avocati or not, but at one point we actually had a drop down where you could pick on the freight elevator kiosk a party member and actually choose their inventory there. So we were trying to like really integrate party members into that hangar experience. But on both of these, where we ended up is
Echo, sorry.
Just again, get the release done. But also I think we realized that there's like some more design considerations around the experience of security and permissions, and party membership isn't always the right fit to answer some of those questions anyways. So there's definitely some design work to do there as far as like the experience and how you attribute or revoke certain kind of rights in your hanger or to other players. But we do want to allow that general kind of flow where you can have your friends there that you're playing with, be it in a party or in a group or an org or whatever, and then have a way to spawn your ship in there. Additionally, the ATC did not really support this pattern very well, and it's because the ATC is an old system that was originally written with Port Olisar in mind, and just some landing pads of Port Olisar. That was the original implementation of ATC. So this whole idea of like even hangars is kind of alien to that system, let alone that multiple people could be in a hangar. And we've kind of had to build that into it, but it has some fundamental.
Wonder when they're gonna release the live chat
token that don't really make sense in that world, which is why we're reworking some of the implementations to essentially, actually, this is kind of getting at like one of the core things that we're going to do is separate out from ATC hangar management as a concept. And ATC is going to become a simpler system that all it deals with is requests to land.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And so it's really just governing
that is a bummer
ways to the hangars, and that's it. And then have a separate system for hangar management for ships and all that. And included in that can be the idea of like, how do you handle different situations and corner cases around multiple ships, including multiple ships from multiple players.
How much?
Oh no!
We hate ATC now.
Ooh.
Can be real.
It knows what it did.
I'm pretty sure that ATC has been a part of the PU since it was first introduced in late November, early December 2015. I mean, it is when you say, oh, it's an old system, it is literally the oldest system of the PU. I'm not entirely certain even the folks who made it originally are even still with the project at this point.
They're not.
Yeah, they're not. So it is. Yeah, it's.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's like what we say with the old MFDs and stuff. It was good for its time and it served its thing for its time. But I think everybody is in agreement, both player and developer alike at this point, that we need a new, more robust service.
It's time for a change.
And to be fair to that system, like it wasn't really designed with this in mind, right? So we've been pushing it, but we just have to break it at this point. Better. We need to be more ambitious for their breaking of it.
Yeah, I'm realizing this is probably not the kind of conversation you'd see it in the promotional material for any other game development. Are they like talking about how much they hate a game feature? I'm like, yeah, we recognize the same thing you do. We're all in the same boat. It needs an update right now. So that is being spec'd out, and that work is being assigned out as we speak. There's no ETA on it because, like I said, it's still early days and that stuff. But I'm not gonna I can't sit here and pretend like it's the greatest thing ever. I hate it.
No, I mean, every time I see a report of players saying or QA finding like a door not opening, I feel it in my bones.
Yeah. What was it? Rhino Separath 1972 says ATC has stolen millions from me.
Yes.
Yep. No. Honestly, we should just. I hope there's like a permanent prisoner in Kleishner once we replace it, and we just name him ATC, and he's just like, I used to do good. We were talking about vehicle spawning in different hangars. Is spawning vehicles from the cargo elevator still planned? I think we mentioned it in one of those early ISCs.
Yeah, the issues with older
ships.
ships.
Haven't heard much about it since
the original programmers are not around. I agree with that.
Absolutely. It's still a thing that we want to do. Now that we've had a bit more time, I think we're also considering that experience a little bit more as far as like how that works, and also potentially supporting things like the Atlas. But definitely it's a thing that's going to come.
Hold up, chat. I just realized something. If 324.1 is going live tonight, where's the Atlas on sale, folks? Where's our little romp'em stomp'em robot? Yeah, the freelancer was. Yeah. You know what I mean, Jim? Where's the damn sale page for the Atlas, right? Where? Where my robot at, folks?
Yeah, it's definitely coming.
Okay. Uh, can we have an option to remove or disable the alarm in the hangar every time a ship is called?
I don't know about
New
that.
deal.
It's not a thing that we've talked about or
God, I hope not.
I've heard even feedback on. But one thing I'll say is we are looking at ways to make it faster, that whole loop, because we want to make getting ships like a quicker experience. Like I think at this point, people have enjoyed the pomp and circumstance of getting these ships.
Where we sell you busted ass shit.
But of course, with anything, you know, you do.
Hey, Jim, I got a joke for you. Listen to this. Welcome to the new deal, where the deal is you pay for busted ass shit.
Times and
Yes.
you kind of just want to get your ship.
Sorry.
Right? So we're looking at potentially some ways where you're getting.
I'm sorry. I just thought that was kind of funny.
Or something like.
I can make a parody of that.
You know, it feels kind of absurd, like the giant experience that unfolds for you over.
Lol.
Right.
So we're looking at, for example, maybe we can like preset the loading platform height, or maybe adjust some timings to make it faster, so you don't have to wait quite as long, but without changing some of the fundamental elements of that experience. We still want it to feel big and important, and have that pomp and circumstance, have it feel somewhat epic.
No.
But where it makes sense, have the ability to like have that time not as long for the smaller requests. I don't know that we'll outright disable the sound there.
Okay. Well,
but again, if there's lots of feedback on that point, maybe
I want to make a suggestion. Some of the best things in Star Citizen came from my ideas. That's not true. Eventually, we have to make some kind of, you mentioned
don't listen to him.
A thing, you know, especially when
don't listen to him. Evil.
In the hangar manager, there should be like a couple of default ringtones listed in there, just like when you get a new Motorola phone or whatever, and you can just set it so that you can change the alarm sound. The alarm sound can sound like a French police car or whatever.
No,
just different sounds.
You're stuck with that pack mule.
Okay, we'll take that into consideration. Thank you.
I don't think he's really going to take that into consideration, chat. I think chat's shining me on.
Yeah.
All right, so a lot of this is focused on hangars and stuff like this. There is a series of vehicles that are kind of out there on the left there, the whole series. Talk to us about what the end goal for this. What is the experience loading and unloading a whole series ship supposed to be like?
Well, I mean, it's obviously what we have now is I would say tier 0 implementation.
Oop.
We wanted to get something in for the hulls that was unique, because it's a unique ship in the game. It can't land with the spindles extended, and it's big.
Where's the hull B?
Epic, and
damn it!
We wanted the cargo loading.
Where's the damn hull B?
Ship and the series beyond that to feel like it made sense for the cargo trading at that scale, and in particular have that visual be like something that was like compelling. And so we wanted to make that cargo loading in and out like feel like something that was like physically like building up and reducing on the ship. However, obviously it's just doing this like popping in thing, and then also it doesn't support any manual loading. So in the nearer term, we are looking at adding support for
I saw that about the
whole
C.
and any other
Reclaimer is getting a capital ship, which it should have had from the beginning. The
not minus
Reclaimer
only
is
any
a
particular
beast.
release or anything, but like absolutely we're
Oh,
looking at
and the
bolstering
Vulture
the
got a single
support
size
for those
too,
ships,
didn't it?
or not just bolstering, but creating
Remind
support
me.
for those for manual loading at those loading areas on the exterior of the stations, and actually adding to them and having potentially multiple. We're considering different ways to make the throughput on that system make sense, both to allow for multiplayer and ships using tractor beams to help optimize
Vulture got a
that loading
needed
time.
buff.
And
It
I
was
think that will
honestly the
be a
weakest
really
of the
big,
industrial
like,
ships.
meaningful change. Beyond that, obviously, we still plan
Now
on
the
doing a better
Buccaneer
implementation of
is
the
supposedly
automatic
a
loading for the Light
glass
series, be
cannon,
it
so I get
NPCs or
it, but it
drones.
doesn't make me
I
happy.
think that
I'm
probably
more
should be
mad about
later
the
because
Redeemer. My
it's more of
poor
like a
Redeemer,
visual
man.
experience and less of like a gameplay experience, whereas like the manual loading would be a really big,
They literally
meaningful
took away my
change,
size
from like the actual
5s.
in-game experience for the players. So
Uh,
that's what we have now.
Blues Mink, you're asking a question about the missions. That's a question for the mission team, not for Chad. Where was that? H Lander 1337 says, "Is this the SCL Live that announces Pyro is coming out?" Yes, Pyro is coming out eventually when it's ready. You heard it here.
Somebody got made a joke.
What's the current status of hover trolleys? Are there still plans to give players this or another method to move multiple cargo boxes around locations at once?
Yes, so hover trolleys, another thing that was sacrificed to the release gods. In particular, the hover
He
trolleys
shakes his
had some new
head.
physics around their behavior, and they were being pretty wonky, I'll put it like that, as far as the actual like
Wonky.
attachment onto
I
the
wonko.
onto the hover trolley, not with the attachment, but how the hovering dealt with it. So like you would suddenly have this attachment and like the thing would kind of like sway around and sometimes like violently flip over or something. So there's some physics issues with it that need to get sorted. And also there's some questions about quite how to integrate it into the game loop, as far as, you know, how you get them, or you know, is that something that's you buy, or can you find them in the world, et cetera, et cetera. So we took a step back from that to focus on getting the release out the door, but it's not forgotten. They are going to come back once we've kind of smoothed out the implementation and like the physics problems, and then also pinned down exactly like how we want players to use them and where they are in the game. So yeah, it's still coming. I will, you know, I will say there are, beyond the hover trolleys, there are other things in addition that we're always looking at as far as like figuring out how to make the game loop.
What's going to be findable in
moving cargo
game?
better.
Hover
And
trolleys?
certainly, I think in mass is certainly like a thing that, now that we have manual loading in the game, we have more experience with it. It's clearly like there's like this
Oh,
interesting
hand trolleys. Yeah.
point where if you're not dealing with the largest boxes in the game, some like combinations of medium to small boxes can be cumbersome. So it's definitely like a thing that we're aware of, and there's, I think, going to be continued design consideration on that.
New things like the upcoming Atlas, which is coming in 3.24.1, which is in testing on the PTU. A bunch of people asking me how much the pledge will cost. I don't know. I'm not in those meetings.
It shouldn't be okay.
A lot about,
I'm gonna pause right there. Shouldn't be more than $50. If it's 50 and up, do not buy. Buy something else, chat. It shouldn't even be more than $20. Hey, I like that idea, Jim.
manual
Shouldn't
loading.
even be more than
This
$20 or
is how we're
$25.
paying a fee to auto load our cargo work. Isn't that?
I'm not sure I understand, because like
Yeah.
you pay a fee to auto load now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a weird question. I thought that's pretty much the thing. We'll skip ahead. Hey, we'll get auto load.
I mean, I can give maybe I can answer a question they didn't ask.
Sure.
Which is auto loading always going to work the way that it does now?
Sure.
The answer is we're gonna build on that. Right now, auto loading is built into the commodity trading experience, in part because that was the quickest way that we could do it. I think we'll always want to have that because it's convenient in order to just make those decisions when you're doing trading. However, there are times when it would be convenient to auto load things that aren't necessarily part of a transaction or after a transaction.
Like
Exactly.
mission cargo can't
Shouldn't be
auto-loaded.
more than
Mission
that,
cargo,
Jim.
but also
If
items
it's
in
more than
general that you
40,
have.
it's a
Maybe you want to
no-go
load
for
those into the
me.
ship. And so a full auto loading experience is a feature that we're currently looking at as far as making it to where you can just have whole sets of stuff. If you just don't want to touch the freight elevator, right? You just like don't like it, that's fine. We're looking at having an experience for you to where you can say like, okay, I want this arrangement of stuff, and as long as it fits into the cargo grids on the ship, then it'll move them around. And now that we've made it to where the cargo grids support so many different items, that means that there's a lot more opportunity to make that work. Of course, there'll be a small fee associated with it,
Seriously?
but it will, I think, support. It's kind of a bigger solution.
Oh,
Instead of just like
no.
solving it specifically for mission items, it's something that you can do
Hang
more
on,
generally.
chat.
And then also, we talked about small vehicles, right? Ground vehicles, getting those into your ship. Well, that would be a solution, right? To if you didn't want to, drive it out yourself.
No, not just spawning a ground vehicle in the cargo, but spawning a ground vehicle in a cargo crate. That can then.
Well, I'm saying like you could have the ship stowed, and then request to have the vehicle loaded into like the ground vehicle
nice.
loaded into your vehicle. Yeah.
Okay. Will the search bar accept actual item names in the future and not just the internal identifier?
Right now, I mean, it's
Cynical.
using the what we call the lock string. So I mean, it does, but there's the problem is there's various kinds of data associated with these items that are
and something underneath my chair,
and what we
and
haven't
I'm having
done
to move
is really built that out. But like it does use the localized item name. But there are other kinds of fields and stuff that it could be built out. In fact, one of the bugs that we had when we first added it is that it was just using the lock name and not the localized name. And it would make it really confusing because some things are really close to the actual end string and some things just aren't at all. And you would search for certain stuff and it wouldn't find them. And the reason is because it was searching the lock ID, but not the localized name. But that's not the case anymore. But there are other kinds of fields that it's not searching on. And sometimes, I think to make that a little bit confusing, sometimes there's different strings shown in different UIs. So like, for example, the shop UI might use like a different string for the purchasable display from like the item ports editing and stuff like that. So more to be done, but it is using the localized name.
There's a localized name and a lock name.
Lock ID. So like the localized name is like if you're playing, in a certain localization on the client.
You see the English version or the Spanish version, or whatever.
Exactly.
Is lock ID, is lock and lock ID short for localization?
Yes. So that's sorry. There's some.
So there's a localization and a lock ID, which is also short for localization.
Yes, but like the way to think of it is like a lock ID is a single identifier for something that will be localized, right? So we have to have some hook, some way to reference a string that has a variation for all the different languages. So that hook, that identifier, is what we call a lock ID.
Gotcha.
So it might be like if I have like a mug, right? It might be mug black one jellyfish because there's a jellyfish on it, right? But then the actual localized string that the players would see would, some
jellyfish mug.
Yeah, jellyfish mug. But then, you'd have a different one in German, a different in Spanish, et cetera, et cetera. So that lock ID is what in code and just like the systems normally pass around because it's something that's understood both by the server and the client. And if you change your localization at runtime, it's something that it's consistent. It's also it's a reference. It's not like a unstructured data as a string. I could go on more, but so that's basically it, which is just more of an identifier that gets localized. However, when you search, you want to search on the localized version, And that means that on the client needs to say when we do a search, here's the lock ID, but here's the locale, here's the localization that you're going to use. And then on the back end, it needs to use that for the string parsing. And we actually have a different database that it searches on that has a different localization on each, because that's the only way that you can make it work. You have to have
Hey, Jim, when do
search
you
on
think
different,
it'll go live
partitions
tonight?
of the data based on the localization.
No, I get you. Sometimes I ask questions for the community, sometimes I ask questions for me. That was a question for me. And now I have to go fight Jens Lind. That's unfortunate. There are many items that do not work particularly well on the freight elevators. For example, mining bags. What's being done to resolve those?
Great question. Unfortunately, another thing that got cut. This one's in particular, it hurt me because I made the packing and the attachment behavior, and the system.
I will be right
packing
back.
and arrangement
I'm gonna check
works, but
something.
there's one bug I'll get to in a second that didn't. And unfortunately, because most of the items work, another thing that was sacrificed to the release gods, which hurts me because I want it to be good because I like to be proud of my work. But the issue in particular with those, if you allow me to get a little bit technical for a moment, is the pivot. So for things like cargo boxes, the pivot is on the bottom in the center. And whenever I originally wrote the packing system way back for the whole C, the only thing that we were putting into the cargo grades at that time were the cargo boxes. I knew that more things were coming, so the packing system itself can expect any kinds of dimensions and handles multiple
I'm back.
orientations. But the pivot was something that I just didn't have time to generalize. I had to just essentially kind of like hard code it to expect the pivot in a certain place on the item. And the technical challenge there is you might say, well, I'm holding the item. How do you not know where the pivot is? The problem is when you're doing things like calling stuff up from a freight elevator, you don't have the item. The entity isn't spawned. You don't have the geometry for it. You can't directly access the pivot. So you have to have some way to know where it would be without loading like the skeleton and deriving it, which would be incredibly slow. So what we have to do is like essentially like kind of bake that data out into a data set that can be read from an asynchronous persistence query or based on the class data. So that's the work to be done here. It won't take too long, and it's possible it comes in, very, very soon. But that's essentially it. Is like the reason is the mining bags and these things, their pivots are in a different place than most of the other items in the game. And the system isn't yet expecting that the pivot might be somewhere else than where most of the other items pivots are. And for that reason, the way that it rotates around and the way that it orients itself on the cargo grid is just wrong for that particular thing, which particularly for the mining bags suck because they're situated in a way that actually puts them through the freight elevator. And sometimes when you detach, they actually drop down, which is awful. So like definitely aware of it. But yeah, fix is going to be forthcoming.
If you can get technical. Okay, last two questions, Chad. You're almost
Okay.
at the end, and then you can go and start your day proper.
Okay. Jim, if you're there, live server matchmaking will be coming down in an hour for a 324.1 update at 4:30 Central Daylight Timing. 1 hour. 1 hour, chat. Live will be up. 324.1. So be aware, chat. We will be getting 324.1. I think I'm just going to tough it out and wait for it to power on to see what's up with that.
Will we be able to spawn multiple ships at once in the same hangar?
Yes.
Got any more? How do we envision that working?
So yeah, I mean, definitely it's a thing that we're looking at on the design side. And so I don't want to give like complete answers because that's something that might change a little bit. But in short, We want it to be to where you can spawn multiple ships, especially in these XL hangars where you have these huge platforms, and certainly you have the room. There's just some thought that has to go into all these different permutations.
Right.
Let's say you have a ship on the platform and you want to get another ship. Right now, the way the system works is if you get a different ship, we're going to sell the first one. But you don't always want to do that. How as a player do you express that, or how do you understand that what's going to happen? Do you have any control over the arrangement of it, et cetera, et cetera? So those are things that are getting like pinned down on the design side. But the goal itself that we want to be able to spawn multiple and give players more control over that is something that we're going to do.
Okay. And last question is, have you ever considered the ability to name our cargo boxes so that we'll know what was in them when we move stuff around?
Yes. Another thing that
Ooh,
is on the design side we're still working on. I remember talking about this like a year and a half ago about like how we could handle this, because before this release, we added the inventory containers at the end of last year, but we were working on it, before then, especially on the design side. So this is something that we've known about for some time, and those boxes all look the same. So if you have lots of different boxes, how do you know what's in them? And we've had lots of ideas so far as tinting and labeling and naming, et cetera, et cetera. And then also potentially wanting that to be something that you could maybe search on in the freight elevator kiosk, right? I'm not going to commit to one particular solution there, because as I said, there's still some design work that needs to be done to like make the final call about like how that's going to work, and then we would do the actual implementation. But it is a thing that we want to address for sure.
Well, Chad, you did it. How do you feel?
Feel great. Definitely feel great now that the release is out. Point one is coming soon. I think that there's a lot of good things coming. I also want to just thank all the players for working with us on this release. I know, especially whenever it originally came out, it was like pretty rocky. There was some real surprises that happened when we went from PTU to live. We tried real hard to go from that state to something that's more playable. And I think point one is going to be an even bigger jump there. So I just want to thank everyone for having so much fun and helping us with this release. It's been a big push. And I'm happy that we finally got here.
Well, thank you, Chad. That was Chad McKinney. I don't remember what his title. What's your title, Chad?
Senior Lead Gameplay.
Senior Lead Gameplay Engineer. He and his team been in the cargo trenches for more than the last year. So thank you for taking the time. This will probably be the last show. We've done 6 or 7 shows on cargo and hangars in this just for this release. So this will probably be the last one. We'll see you for whatever the next thing is. Take care, Chad. You can leave. I got to do some housekeeping. Stuff. So, folks, that's it. That's the show. This is probably going to be the last SCL for a while. There won't be an SCL next week. That if you've noticed, or if you joined late in the show, you've seen this absolute horror show right here. I'll be down getting my face scan next Friday to do that and stuff. So there's no show next week, and then we're into the big CitizenCon hustle there. We've only got 1 episode of ISC left. That'll be last week, and then ISC will go on hiatus until after CitizenCon. So there might be an SCL or 1 or 2 that we squeeze in there every once in a while, depending on availability and stuff like this. But for the most part, we're here at the threshold of a hiatus. So thank you for watching.
To be expected.
A couple announcements, though. There are multiple occasions coming up where you can meet CIG folks in person. This is always the biggest and most social time of year here. So TwitchCon in San Diego is next week. There is a Bar Citizen on Friday, September 20th at 6 p.m. at the Garage Kitchen and Bar. You can go, there's a comm link on the website, the Bar Citizen World Tour. You can get the specific information, but that is next Friday, where you'll be able to meet some staff that are down there visiting for TwitchCon. There is also, in about a month's time, there is Bar Citizen Week here and around. Basically, Bar Citizens all week long in celebration of CitizenCon. They're happening in cities and locations all around the world. You can check out the barcitizen.sc website or barcit.io/2952. He didn't think I was going to read that, but I read that. I read a URL because I was born in the 70s, and I still do that. So you can find all kinds of new Bar Citizens that are happening all week, the week of CitizenCon, in areas that may or may not be close to you. And then the last one, Atmo Esports, our old friends there, are throwing a major event, the largest event that they've ever thrown, right next door. Literally on the other, there's a wall here, and then there's a wall there, and then there's a building where this event happens. The biggest event, it's a huge venue with actual theater-style scenes, the largest esports thing that they've done there. That is called Enter Atmosphere. You can check out the Atmo Esports website for that. I think it's atmo.sc. There's also going to be a sizable CIG contingent that are visiting there. That takes place the Sunday after CitizenCon. The second day of CitizenCon, but after CitizenCon ends. So it's like the unofficial post-party there. Chris Roberts will be there, as well as a bunch of other people. There's a big social area with a bar and stuff, and they'll be hanging out there to meet people and to converse with people and stuff like that, and sign autographs, take pictures, all that stuff like that. So it's your chance to meet Chris Roberts and a whole bunch of folks. That is not a Star Citizen event. It is our friends at Atmo Esports, but we're going to hang out with them because we like them a lot. So that's your chance. If you're interested and you haven't picked up tickets for that, you can check that out on their website. As far as how much or whatever, I don't know. I just get the details for where it is. And if I'm not entirely dead after 2 solid days of running CitizenCon, I'll probably be there too. If anybody who remembers me at the after party for CitizenCon last year, I will be on zombie mode. So just be gentle with me, approach me slowly, indirect eyesight, don't come at me from the sides or behind because I'll spook easily. I will not know where I am, but I will be there, along with all kinds of other CIG staff. So that's the housekeeping. Thanks for watching. Yeah, that's all I got. Bye.
Did I lose everybody? Where'd everybody go in chat? Chat, where'd you go? Well, okay. To recap what he said at the very end, we are entering that season where we're entering the rush. He's absolutely right. We are, I believe, under a month, just barely over a month from SitCon. Let me see. Double check. We are 35 days from CitizenCon. Yeah. 35 days. Yeah, I'm going to have to be honest with you. I got to go. I might here in a minute. Hey, Jim, I'm going to have to go to the men's room. I will be right back. I'm not leaving. I'm not getting offline. I just gotta, you know, I'm trying to be polite about it. Sorry, man. I'm gonna be right back. Yeah, exactly. Be right back, chat, as soon as possible. I will be. Exactly. Lol. Oh, how we doing? Oh shoot, I missed a raid. Sorry everybody. I literally I missed a dang raid. Sorry. Uh hello. Oh 07. Everybody. Yeah. Yeah, raid incoming. It's kind of funny. That was funny. Okay, I deserve that, kinda, sorta. By the way, Nova Forge, are you here? Oh 07 Cowboy, how are you? Hey, Smithy Joe Bob, what's up, man? Ender Shadow Walker, Smithy Joe. Hey, glad you guys are doing good. Thank you for the follow, Smithy. Just at work. Yeah, I feel that. I have no air conditioning. Well, they're good to see you. Good to see you guys too. Oh, what was I gonna say? My you guys caught me literally having to unfortunately take a bathroom break a few minutes ago. I had to step out, do what we have to do, and well, sorry about that. But you know how it is. And you would be right, Smithy Joe. You would be right. Whew. You'd be right. Been there, done that, lol. Everybody does. Hey, I understand, guys. It's all is what it is. So did anyone, what are we getting up today? Well, I'm waiting to see what the update brings. Supposedly, here in about an hour, here in about, what time is it? It's 3:49. Here at about 4:30, there's supposed to be a update on, 324.1 is supposed to go live at what time is it? Yeah. Yeah, they're pushing 324.1 to live. Yep, that's right. I want to see, first of all, how much the little is. The little walker. Who wants to place bets? I'm saying 20. What about you guys? What say you guys? Yeah, somewhere between way too much and way too little. Yeah. $50 is a good high bargain. I could see it. I'm gonna double check. Let's double check. Let's see. While we're doing that, I really hope we get another variant of this at SitCon. I pay good money for it. I love tools. But I also want reasons to have them, chat. Don't just nerf other things. You know what I mean, Smithy? Don't just nerf something to create a need. Yeah, the PTV was like $15. I think it still is. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. See, I want them to have a reason for something like this. Heavy defenses, minefield, you know. Something. So here in about 30 minutes, it's going to pop up. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. I think you're right. It was 15, Smithy. I think you are right. Also, don't forget, chat, that SitCon is only 35 days away. Yeah, I gotcha. I agree with that, Smithy. I think, though, it will be modular. Notice that there are hard points on the arms. You know, on the arms, there's like left arm hard point, right arm hard point. I think there'll be modular options for this frame. We'll see. I'm really hoping we learn something this afternoon. We might. You know, something, right? I'm hoping we do, because look at this, chat. We have 35 days. 35. So there's one more Inside Star Citizen. That's next week in 6 days. That takes us to 29 days from SitCon. I want to learn if I can stomp on doggos in the PTU. Those things are mean now. The little Copians, they mean little jerks. You land near them, you better run. Or you better have good weapons, because when do you think the store's going to update? With the update here in 30 minutes? I'm going to check the launcher to see if we have a update yet. PTU and the live. Okay, so no update yet, but I think it will here in about 35 minutes. We'll check back. Should I jump in game chat to see what it says? Like if they give a 30-minute warning? What do you think? Should we risk it? I think we should risk it, yeah. Let's jump in game. Let's jump in game. And what we're going to do is jump in game, see what's up with this, and see if we can even do anything before the update hits. I highly doubt it, but we'll see. Oh, where'd it go? All right. There it goes. Hey, my thing works. Yes, it does work. All right. Hey, Smithy, did you know my home city, they got a brand new $3 million planetarium? No, 10 million. Brand new. We have a cutting edge planetarium. Tonight will be the exclusive private preview for my astronomy club. I'm getting to see something open to our club before the general public. And we're not allowed to take pictures, but we, because it's not the official opening and they could get in deep crap because of that. But we will be able to see an entire show. So it should be interesting. All right. So here we go. Okay, chat, can you confirm with me? Can you hear the music? And can you hear my voice at an appreciable level? All right. Sounds good on your end? Good. That's what I want to hear. That's good. Hey, I received... Yeah, I'm not leaving for a while. It'll be about 5:30 before I need to leave. So that gives me an hour of 324.1. So that's good. He said a week. Nice try. Did that guy just say a week, chat? Wow. Somebody's clueless. Okay. Smithy, have you tried the new hangers much? Hey, Cowboy, also, I'm considering trading in my C1 for a CL. Main reason, I can't see the need to keep a Spirit when the Zeus is almost the better Spirit C1. You know, they're comparable, but the CL has like, you know, dozens of times, almost triple the cargo, right? So like if I'm doing a cargo mission with my crew, I mean, I love the C1, don't get me wrong. And luckily I have a spare, you know, in buyback. But, yeah, it's just too expensive. By the way, I haven't seen you around in a while. You been good, cowboy? We got 28 minutes. I'm almost thinking about waiting it out, you know? Because once we get kicked out, you know, it'll be hard to log back in. I'd say we fool around in here for 15 minutes and, you know. Yeah, I know. The Zeus is just a overall better ship than the Spirit C1. I love the Spirit C1, but I just it's just, you know. Yeah, it can be. Oh my god, it can be. By the way, the ooh. Ooh. Let's try the little TIE fighter. I'm gonna be a bad boy for about 20 minutes. Yeah, life can really throw curveballs at you. Sadly. I've never called out my Fury.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System. Your vehicle has been delivered to the following location. Please visit us again.
Yeah, life can really be the pits sometimes when you least expect it. I was trying to start another job about 4 years ago, and I hurt my back, so I never got a chance to transfer. And now I have a herniated disc and no current job at the moment. But, you know, such is life, things happen. Life happens, you move on, and you learn. You also learn you're expendable these places. That's cool.
Hello, how can SCL help you today? Systems on.
I'm just messing around at the moment. Waiting for the update here in 24 minutes. Woo! Where's the guns? How do you deploy the gun, the wings? Is it L?
Landing gear down. Landing gear up.
I've never messed around with one of these. Is it K? Smithy? Oh, left alt K. Let's try left alt K. There we go. Yeah, there it goes. Yay. TIE Fighter. Yay. Hammerhead, huh? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Attack the Hammerhead! Let's be army hearties. Time to attack the Hammerhead.
Caution, target friendly. Caution, target friendly.
Yeah, it's got a ton of weaponry on it.
Caution, target friendly.
Yeah, this thing is awesome.
Caution, target friendly.
Eee.
Caution, target friendly. Caution, target friendly.
I don't care. I'm messing around right now. This is the station.
Caution, target friendly.
It is fast, so I'll give it that. It's mean too.
Caution, target friendly.
Surprised it ain't taking damage yet. But then again, the Hammerhead's a powerful ship.
Caution, target friendly.
anyone taking damage, or is it just derelict?
Caution. Target friendly.
That's interesting. I don't know.
Caution. Target friendly.
It is awesome, but like I said, it's just a. Until I'm wondering if I can harass UE Navy. Any of them around?
Caution. Target friendly.
The thing is, Cowboy, this sucker does not have a quantum drive.
Caution. Target friendly.
Uh-oh! Here we go!
Caution. Target friendly.
Yeah, I can flip on a dime, too.
Caution. Target friendly. Caution.
Ah! Of course, that was just me jerking around, guys. Oh, Ha! Now that was funny. Oh. Boo. Okay. That was awesome. I will say that was awesome, chat. Hey, you can't park there. Yeah, I can. Oh, I think you can pay your crime stamp. Yeah. Who's what? Well, here's something interesting. What is this? Hey. Hi. What is this, chat? Look at this. Look at this. What is this? Use. Has anyone seen this before? What is this? Cowboy, has anyone shown this? Hello, Tiny Diamond, how are you? It won't let me use it, but it's a placeholder for something. Never seen that before. Okay. Yeah, that's new. Very new. I don't know what the heck that was, chat. Let's look around this room before we leave. See if I... Wait a minute. What is this? What's this? Here. Spend. What is this? When did... Okay, this is new. Item swap. When did we start grabbing this crap? Chad, am I supposed to be able to do this? I've never seen anything like that, guys. That is completely new.
Dr. Bolin, you're needed in recovery.
Just by being here.
Not allowed in the staff lounge. Thank cleanup team down in the South Hall.
Bet I'm gonna get shot at. Well, that was weird. Yeah, that was really, really weird. Stations. I've never been able to do anything like that. I don't know what that was all about, but yeah, that's weird. There's nowhere to pay off your crime stat, maybe. Go ahead and do that. Huh. Well, that was strange, cowboy. Really strange. I've never been able to grab stuff like that before. That was really, really weird. Weird, chat. Weird stuff. I don't know what to say about that. That was just bonkers. Don't know what to think of it. It's just... Oh, 324 is live. Chat. 324 is live. Yep. Okay, so 324 is live. So we're going to flip over here. So I bet I had to relog in. Do I need to log out and log in probably? Probably. Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely. All right. Let's see. What am I gonna do? Okay. So let's log out of my account. Exit the app. Try to log back in. See if we can update. It's not live where we are. Must be elsewhere in the world. Where though? Okay. So we're gonna wait here for a minute. Maybe just in case I'm gonna log out on the server on the and then try to log back in. Hmm. Still no update yet. Maybe it's because it's still a few minutes out. That's okay. We'll wait. Uh, I gotta say that hey Halcyon, what's up, man? I gotta say that Fury is a mean little bugger. It definitely is a mean ship. Fun to fly, but it would be funner if you had, a carrier or something to launch it from. Do, do, do. All right. It said 4:30 CDT. So we'll see. All depends on if it hits. All right, 3 minutes. Come on, dudes. I got somewhere to be later tonight. I'd rather. Oh, here we go. Patch notes. Atlas is on the store, folks. Atlas is on the store. Okay, here we go. Okay, chat. Shush. We'll see. How much is it? Yeah. We'll find out. The Atlas, I repeat, is in the store, chat. I bet it's expensive, judging by what people are saying. It's going to be funny if it is. Where? I don't see it. There it is. I was right. 35. Oh, and it has paints. Yes. Oh, I like that blue and black. That looks nice. Okay. Other paints? Show me. So it's 35.40 war bond. So let's read the description, chat, before we jump into this. Yeah. It has 6-month insurance. Ouch. Yeah, definitely buy the war bond if you're going to buy it. Just saying. It probably doesn't have lifetime, but still. Oh, it does. Monsoon paint. Okay. Perfect. What do you guys think on Twitch? So there it is. Okay. Any other goodies? Okay. So if it's up on the store, we should see an update. Oh, it has a commercial too. I was close. Okay. So Atlas is $35 war bond, chat. Lifetime insurance. Just so everybody knows. The actual freaking Atlas is $35 for war bond, and really, it won't let you use store credit. The hell? For real, it won't? Are you kidding me? Really? That's kind of messed up. Okay. So weird. Yeah, I agree. Definitely. So where's the paints for this? I like the monsoon paint. So where is the paint for this? See how much the paint packs are. The paints shouldn't be too much. At least in my opinion, they shouldn't be much because it's small. It's what? A walker, basically? Right? It's tiny. Uh-uh. Let's see. Maybe they don't sell separate paints. Huh. So we have Ironside, Monsoon. Ironside, Monsoon. So where's the big paint pack for this? That's what I want. The big paint pack. Go down. Oh, a carbon black. I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take that. Definitely. Show me that paint, Tiburon. There it is. There's the 4 paint pack. Carbon Black, Ironside, Lionheart. Well, okay. Yeah. Well, here's what I'm debating, chat. I really want this thing, but do I really need it? No, I don't. Now, I get paid here in a couple of days from Twitch, so I might use that for it. You know? Anyhow, I'll keep this in mind. Let's go ahead and update RSI, or, 321.24.1. I agree, the paints look good. I agree, Cowboy, they look great. Now, those paints looked awesome. And there's a commercial for good old for it. So that's good. Let's go with Star Citizen. Is it Atlas? There it is. So many people are freaking salt mining over this, and it's kind of amusing. Hey, I get it, but unfortunately, what are you gonna do? They're gonna change. They're gonna do what they're gonna do regarding the game. Here we go, cowboy.
You need help with that?
Yeah, right.
That looked familiar. Oh, that's an Alien reference. I remember that. That's from Aliens. Oh, that's okay. That's good marketing. Good job, CIG. Very good. That was a good use of a classic bit from a movie, and everyone remembers that freaking scene. I'm updating. It's all right. Update is going to live. Or so yeah. Huh. Honestly, I was saying at the high end, $50. A lot of people being like, "Oh, it's too much. It's too much." Something like this. Multi-tool max 16, 32. So many people complain about change. And while I understand that, I understand it, chat, people have to realize that CIG's going to do what CIG's going to do. And we're just along for the ride, right? Hate to say it, but I like it personally. I probably will buy at least one, but at least one of them. Okay, so. Sadly, chat, here in about 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to have to make myself scarce. I have a drive into the city. I'm going to be back on later tonight. I do have some closing questions, though, for those of you on Twitch. Do you think 323.2 will enter PTU or Evacati this week or next week? That's why they're clearing the cards, so to speak. I think they are. Or at least I hope they are. Um, wait. Also, I'm going to post the Q&A for the Atlas and the link transmission. Hang on. Copy. I know, right? Here's the Q&A chat. There's the Q&A for the Atlas on that channel and this channel. Storage. Oh, okay. A battery that will physically move. Oh, good. A lot of interesting nuggets in that chat. Let's. Okay. I know that. Hey, Bears. What's up, man? The Atlas just got added, Bears, if you check above. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Doing great. Here in about 20 minutes, I'm probably going to have to get off here because I have a meeting to go to in the city. But I am glad to see you. How are you doing, sir? Yep, you'll like it. All right. I'm just doing the initial login and in preparation for further adventures. So yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah. I agree with that comment by Trickster for Kids. He's right. That comment's pretty spot on. Why? Because your tractor beam can't lift more than can't lift 10 million pounds anymore. It's true. I mean, come on. Let's be real. A small, skinny ass tractor beam, it's not gonna lift everything in the universe. As much as I would like it to, you know. I mean, it's a good theory you're peddling there, but yeah. Oh, the bigger tractor beam? Typically you get it from the cargo deck places. Yeah. That's where you typically get it from. And if you're interested in a new fun toy bears, yeah, you'll find it. The cargo decks. Yeah, the big cargo deck places. If you're curious why people are so dang angry right now, let me show you. Okay. So, yes. Same place you buy the SCU boxes. Exactly. Now, you weren't in here for this, so let me show you, bears, why some people are pretty torqued right now about spending more money. This is why. This guy, the Atlas. Some people think it's unnecessary, a quick cash grab, whatever. They can say what they want. CIG's going to also do what they want. I actually was guessing $50 for the Atlas. I'll be real, on the high end. 35 is actually a lot cheaper than I thought it'd be. A lot cheaper. At one time I said 25, but then I realized they'd never sell it for that much. Yeah. Hey, Cowboy, are you still around? It's cheaper than my Barbie space Jeep? Yeah. Well, you guys are right. It is cheaper. Oh. Uh, hmm? On to play in the Atlas? Okay. Use my Barbie space Jeep so much. Absolutely love that thing. Yeah, I agree. It's a good vehicle. It's the Steve, right? STV? Bears? I think that's the one you're talking about, right? Yeah. Hmm. All right. So, Steve, yeah. That's what I thought. Here in a minute, chat. I'm gonna have to get off here. It's 5 o'clock. I will maybe be on later tonight. This stream started later than I wanted. I had to get my transcript from the local school to send off to my college next week. I start the spring semester 2025 for college. I am not giving up streaming, despite what some people are telling me to. But yeah, you definitely feel it, Bears. And I thank everybody for hanging out with me this afternoon, at least. But I'm gonna have to raid somebody else now on Twitch. Who? Who do we got? Who do we got? Eh. Eh. No. Go with. Raid somebody who's been a long-term friend. Throw Cobra TV. Gentlemen, we're going to raid Cobra TV on Twitch. He's been having some difficult times IRL, so go tell him Axis says hi. 07 everyone, and see you probably tomorrow. Good night, guys.